Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Distance Dilemma podcast. My name is Sean. I'm in Dublin, in Ireland. This is Imran. He is in Thun, Switzerland. This is our long distance friendship podcast. This is episode number 38. And ever since we've come back from our break, we have been starting our podcast with a brand new segment called Out of Context Weekly Scenarios. This is the part where me and Imran give each other a section of our week out of context. The other person has to try and guess it, and hopefully a couple of laughs will pop up. So, Imran, can you please give me your Out of Context Weekly Scenario?
So my out of context weekly snare for this week is suicidal sheep.
Oh, God. Okay, so I'm assuming this had to pop up while you were in Iceland last week.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
Okay, I'm assuming you saw some sheep in a field
Yeah, okay,
or
yeah.
a
Adding to
zoo
the story.
or
No, yeah, they were on fields.
okay,
It adds that adds weird. That's probably where they started. They started on the
where they
fields and
started.
then yeah.
Was this
Okay.
field like on a hill?
Kind of a mountainside.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'm assuming like because of the weather there, it was really slippy, and this like it just looked like loads of sheep were throwing themselves off random like like random fucking hillsides or cliffs or rocks or like they were just slipping and they were like falling long distance.
No, thankfully no. That would be a
Okay,
very dark sight.
yeah, well that's
Okay, I feel like
um
I'm trying to throw you off here. Okay, they started on a field and they lingered somewhere else.
okay.
That's okay.
Did they linger towards like a village or
No,
town?
no.
Okay,
Okay, I'll give you two more guesses and then I'll explain. Because I feel like
okay,
I kind of threw you off a little bit with the field situation. But they started off on a field and they might have lingered towards somewhere more else.
okay. Something really fucked up that's coming to my brain here is like they ventured towards the forest and it was the forest that Logan Paul done that fucking video where he has
No,
a dead body.
no,
I
that was
know
in
that's not
Japan.
true because that was in
That was in
Japan,
Japan.
but like that's like for some
Just
reason that's
fucking
where
keep hanging from the ropes, like
yeah. And then
Jesus.
Logan Paul and that fucking Pokemon hat going, oh go, oh no guys, fucking that was a fucking trauma moment for my childhood.
Oh God.
Um, okay, so so the sheep that started in a field and
Yes.
there's some element of suicidalness.
Yes.
Were they jumping to somewhere or like they were
Yeah.
or did
Yeah.
they like go to a graveyard or something?
No. Okay. You're on the right.
Did
You're
they
gonna be
did they
annoyed.
go to like a butcher's
No. I love the way
or
you
a
think you're getting. I love
slaughter's?
the way he thinks he's getting closer, but he's just like,
This is the only like valid way I can try and
yeah.
connect sheep and suicide.
Okay. So when you're driving through Iceland, it's a lot of like long road situations where you could be driving on a road for 45 minutes straight line for it, like going across mountain ranges and the landscape is beautiful. I was down the Sean before we started the podcast. But on our second last day we did like a glacier experience. So they bring you on the glacier inside caves. Very cool. I highly recommend if anyone hasn't done it. On the way back though, I was about 10 or 12 of us in a van and it's starting to get a bit dark, so we're driving on the roads. But the roads are beside a lot of like land areas where there's fields, where there's sheep, some cows, etc. Obviously they're probably chipped as well, but I'm guessing a lot of the sheep must have got out. And like I was kind of worried about this because we had to been dropped off back to the glacier site where we started, and then get back in the car and drive home. Now, but when we were on the way back from the activity, you just seen like 5 to 6 sheep like running across the road and like stopping and like running on the road while vans and cars are coming. And I was like, oh my God, like these guys are literally do not care. Like it was the wildest thing. Like you'd be going like, might be going about 60, 70, and then all of a sudden you just see like 4 sheep just run across the road darting. So like everyone just had to drop their speed down. And then eventually then we were heading back towards the glacier site and a farmer had like stopped his Jeep in the middle of the road, which is terrible because it's a two road way. So, cars are coming from both ways. So she had to jam on the brakes and like move around the car. And your man there was just like banging the side of his car with a stick, trying to get all the sheep to go back into the one direction where his farm was. I don't know how they escaped, but it was the wildest thing, man. And I'll post this after the podcast. Or next week's episode is it released. I'll post a video because I took the video when I was in the car of these sheep just running across the road trying to kill themselves. It was wild, wild.
It sounds
But
like the seagulls a Hope situation where like
yeah,
they're acclimatized to people being around and they don't give a fuck.
yeah, it's like they owned the road. They didn't give a shit. And like it wasn't just common with just sheep. Like along the way as well, we were there for a week, and I think I seen like two or three actual dead sheep on the side of the road. And I was asking, like, had you ever? I was asking the driver of the glacier, who works at the site, and I was like, have you had the unfortunately have ever hit a sheep? And she was like, no, but there was a guy that works with me, and he accidentally hit a sheep with his car about 3 weeks ago. And so what he did is he put the sheep in the back of his van, brought it up to the farmer because they're all chipped, with location sites.
Yeah.
So he brought it up and he's like, "Look, the sheep ran across the road. I'm sorry that I hit the sheep with my car." And the farmer was like, "Oh, don't worry. Do you want to come in for some lamb?" And like was just making this guy random lamb after
It's
him hitting his.
he's like it's very fresh. I can guarantee
Yes.
you it's very
Well,
fresh.
supposedly this is a common thing, like that sheep are often hit by cars because a car will be doing, like I said, straight road 60, 70 in its own world, and a sheep will just go, you know what, yeet, and just jump in front of the car. Oh
Yeah,
man.
it sounds like I was saying like a seagulls and Hoth or like the deer in the Phoenix Park situation. Because the deer
Exactly.
will just, because it sounds like they're just climatized or they're just used to people being in their environment. They're used to cars at this
Exactly.
point, and they know people will slow down, so they know they'll just go, because people don't want to kill them.
Well, I'm trying not to, get my XP up for killing sheep. What about you? What was your weekly scenario?
So the key thing to this is the day of the week where you could guess. So just that's the thing to keep an eye on. But on Saturday, I managed to predict the future while taking a poop.
Okay. So the day of the week is important here,
Yeah.
Saturday. So I'm presuming who played did any football team play on Saturday? Has it anything to do with football?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. See, did United? I can't remember. Did United play Liverpool? Because United beat Liverpool 2-1, and Harry Maguire scored in the last minute. So has it anything to do with that?
No.
No. Okay. Football, football, football. See, I actually missed the football this week. I didn't actually get to see any of the fixtures. I was hoping today that I'd catch up. Did you predict the score line of a game?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. So Saturday has something to do with football. Uh, can I have
Is
a clue?
I don't know how to give you a clue. It happened after a match.
After a game.
After a game.
Okay. Was there some kind of fighting that went on between the fans?
No.
No, no. Okay, okay. What else happened after a
But
football
you're
game?
not in like the wrong realm. There was definitely some
Was there
um
protests after the game?
no. No.
No. Okay. Were you at this game?
No.
No. Okay, so it's not Ireland game.
It
Okay.
is it's Premier League.
It's Premier League. It's Premier League. Okay.
Yeah.
So Premier League after the game, you knew this was going to happen.
I the way I
What did a manager get sacked?
yes.
Yes. So I'm presuming this is Forest when they
Yes.
lost 2-1 and Ange got sacked. I only saw that this morning. So anyone that's not a football fan, basically, there was a manager who had bad run of results. I think like he had like 7 losses in a row or something like that. He's only brand new to the club, so he's Ange. What's his surname? Postecoglou.
Postecoglou.
But yeah, there you go. For Forest, so he got sacked. So I'm presuming Sean was able to predict his sacking and the result.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Okay,
I'm
right. So
happy.
the full context behind that is so you've got like 90% of it, but the most important part that you've left out is the poop, right? So Chelsea
What?
played Forest on Saturday as
What?
the early kickoff.
Okay.
And so Chelsea hammered them 3-0.
Yes.
And there was a lot of pressure on Ange before the match kicked off. And Forest were pretty good in the first half. Chelsea were really shit. And then Chelsea made two subs at the second half, dominated them, finished the game 3-0. And like the Forest fans were booing, and there was already quite a lot of pressure on Ange. So the match finished, and the ads came on, and Simone was watching like the last couple of minutes of the game. She was like, I kind of feel bad. Like he seems like a nice guy, and everybody's booing, and everyone's chanting against him. I was like, yeah, like I quite like Ange as well. And so right after the football, we were about to go to our weekly shop, and I just said, hold on, I just gotta go poop.
Okay.
And
I
she
still
just
do.
said, and we were just talking about this Ange fella, and she was like, he's a nice fella. I said, I guarantee by the time I come back from this shit, you'd be sacked.
No way.
I went up, I pooped, I was gone for about 10, 15 minutes, came down, I walked in the room, And then the presenter on the show said, "We've just got some breaking news here. Ange Postecoglou has been sacked by Nottingham Forest."
No way.
So I predicted the future with a poop.
There you go.
I
Even
predicted the future. I sealed it with the poop, and then it happened.
signed, sealed, and delivered. That poop was.
Literally, in every sense of the phrase. Yes.
Did you feel like you're in the Simpsons episode where you're just able to predict every single thing that's going to happen in the future?
I mean, sure, yeah.
Illuminati confirmed. I mean, it was coming, but I mean, I think
Puminati confirmed
it's
as well.
Puminati. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Next week for the out of context, I'm just gonna put like a poop and nothing else, or like a poop with Ange's face on, it and see if people can predict the episode. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there you go.
I knew the second that happened. The second I thought about that, I was like, that's the angle for next week's podcast.
I'm happy that I was able to numb it down. I mean, I don't know why that just jumped out of my content.
I think
like
that's
my
2
brain.
weeks in a row you've gotten it.
Yeah. You really need to up your numbers here.
Yeah, I honestly thought that this would, like, when we planned this segment, it would be the opposite way around. But I'm getting trumped. I think I've gotten it once, and you've gotten it twice.
Yeah, if for anyone that's keep watching, you can keep score for us.
Yeah.
I don't know the way you actually thought that sheep are going and jumping off a cliff. That would be horrible to see if I was
Yeah, I
driving
know.
the
That's
car
why
and then
when you say suicidal sheep, Imran, like, there's
True,
not a lot of
true.
there's not a lot of avenues my mind can explore. Like, so.
Just sheep just believing they can fly, just jumping off the side of the cliff. God damn. There you go. Swiftly moving on.
Swiftly moving on. So we're moving on to the next segment, which is our topic for the weekend. This is something we've had on our list for weeks, and we've kind of, even before the break, and it's something that we've, like, we've put off for more current affairs type of things before we took our break, and then since we've come back, there was certain things that we want to get to. But this really probably is I wouldn't be surprised if this is our most listened to episode, because we are going to be talking about our relationship and the importance of dogs.
Yeah,
we love dogs on this podcast.
We love dogs. We love dogs.
We love dogs. Dogs are
me not always though. I have to say that before we start. I was not the biggest fan of dogs growing up, and it wasn't until I got a dog where I understood. I didn't get the hype around man's best friend and the relationship a lot of people have with their dogs. And I think if it wasn't for me experiencing Bruno, I probably would have had a different perspective on this topic. But
yeah, Imran was like the 20-year-old equivalent of that dad who didn't want to get the dog, and the dog became
exactly
his best friend.
Yeah, exactly. But for circumstances, did you have dogs growing up? I mean, I know you had dogs growing up, but for the listeners' purposes, I'm asking this question.
Yeah, like, my family has always had, like, I'm not exaggerating when I say every single house in my family had dogs. So I've always been around dogs, and I've always been around, like, dogs that are friendly with dogs and kids. Because, like, I'm the oldest of all my cousins.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and this is on both sides of my family. So anytime I would go to their houses and there'd be dogs in these houses, like, they were super child friendly. And most of them were also, like, other dog friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I've there's only been, I'd say, maybe 5 years of my life where I haven't had a dog live with me in my house. Because, like, when me and my mom first, like, when I was born, like, we lived with my grandmother, and she had a dog, and then we moved out, and then we got a dog. We got a pit bull, and then after the pit bull died, I went from the age of, like, I'd say, like, 11 to, like, 15, 16 without a dog. And then I always had a dog in my house. And then, but, like, in between those ages, and, like, since, there's never been one member of my family that doesn't have a dog.
Yeah, so you've been growing up them your whole life.
I've grown up, and I like
different breeds as well. Yeah,
a lot of very varying breeds. Like, we've had, like, very small dogs, and then, like, really big dogs as well. Like, it's not like we've just stuck to one size or breed. Like, I've really kind of, like, had everything. Like, my grandmother had a Yorkshire Terrier, and, like, my dog when I lived with my mum was a boxer, and my auntie at the moment has a German Shepherd. So, like, it really
it's
varies,
different sides. Yeah. So you never had any other pets besides dogs growing up?
No, no, I don't think so. No, not that I can remember. No. I think at one point, like, me and my mom lived with one of our friends that might have had a lizard or something like that. But, that was, like, for 6 months while we were waiting to get our house.
Yeah, because I kind of had the opposite side where I grew up owning a cat for about 5 to 6 years. Then just before we moved to Dublin, I had a bunny that lasted, I think, like a year. It was like a really like that poor bunny, like it got no time in life, like living with a family. Um, and then we moved to Dublin, and then we somehow, I don't even remember how, we had bearded lizards. They were really cool. We had them for about 3 to 4 years. Loved them. They're really chill. And then it wasn't until COVID when I moved in living with Dari. I've been living with Dari 2 years before that, and me and Dari have been talking about that it might have been a good idea to get a dog in the house, and that it was something that we both wanted. And originally we were looking at a puppy, but then we also were signing up to Dogs Trust and other services like this where they find dogs that have been not looked after, or not maintained, or lost, or whatever. And then we were able to get a phone call. So someone had found Bruno at the time on the side of the road, and we got Bruno. And it's gas, like, because I remember getting Bruno the first time, and I don't know, for anyone that's never had a dog that's maybe had a bit of a hard upbringing, you've got to like learn to build your trust with your dog. And I think for me that was a big thing because I'd never had a dog growing up or been around dogs so much. Like I spent a lot of time growing up with Sean, so Sean had Alfie at the time. So it was kind of like trying to learn that relationship basis, and stuff like that. But yeah, recently Bruno's been a lot in my mind, especially when we were away on holidays in Iceland there. Like I was talking a lot with Nicola and the two other people that I was with, and I was just like, I kind of thought like I'm only going to see Bruno every probably about twice a year for the next 5 years, which is a bit sad when I think about it in that sense. Because again, he is my dog, but I also share the dog with Dari, and he's now living in the house with Dari full time. Of course, before I was there, I probably was more in the house a bit more, but work schedule, and I bring him out a lot more on walks. But now I think he's kind of gone into that swift relationship. I've seen now that he has that strong relationship with Dari, which is also nice for him because it makes me feel like like I didn't leave him per se. If that
Mm.
makes sense. But for me, I think I can understand the importance of dogs in a household, if that makes sense. I don't know if you have anything to talk about what you think about me saying that.
Yeah, like I even like from when like I've had like I've been saying there, I've always had dogs, but and we've talked like loosely before about like me and you having similar upbringings and not always for the best of reasons, like and like I think it's really interesting you saying you had to learn to trust a dog when you
Hmm.
first got it, whereas like for me it was like almost the absolute opposite. I knew that our dogs, like whether they were mine or my aunties or my grandmothers or cousins or anything like that, I always knew like the dogs were like and this is one thing I just love about them in general is they're just unconditional love. Like all they
Yeah.
want to be is your best mate. All they want to do is play with you. All they want to do is be with you. And like I think there was like something always very comforting about that. I think it's why I have like quite a good relationship with animals in general. Like I'm like now me and Simone are like huge animal people. Like we only have to look at the back garden. There's 4 horses and a pigeon loft, and we have Xena here as well. Like so I've always like had a very like trusting instinct towards animals. I think like because like you would have like you know this about me as well. Like I'm quite soft in
Hmm.
nature and like in terms of like
You're a
relationship
soft guy.
management and stuff. And
He's
yeah,
a
just
loving
in
guy.
general, I'm a softie. I'm a big softie.
Mhm.
Like and I think like that like comes from one
Being
having gone
around.
through quite a lot of being having gone through quite a lot of hardship when I was growing up, but also like going whenever I was with one of the dogs, like knowing I could be kind of soft and be vulnerable, and they love me for
Hmm.
just for me, like and I think like that's also helped with like me and Small have talked quite a lot before about like how I am like very comfortable in my masculinity
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well, and I think that actually played like quite a big factor in it as well. Like I think some people might think I'm like reading way too much into it, like but I genuinely do feel like I feel like dogs give you that space to just be yourself. Like the dog doesn't care whether you're eating your cheat meal or whether you're having your healthiest meal or whether you're picking your nose or whether you're doing whatever. Like I'm just giving examples like going up through life. They don't care if you're having you've come in from a really bad day of school around like
Hmm.
that. They just want to be there for you and they just want to love you, and all they ask for is a bit of love back.
That's it. The attention thing for me was big. They Like I've never seen an animal, obviously because I had the lizards, the bunny, and the cat. Like I've never seen the amount of attention dogs need. And when you think about it in like the smallest of terms, it's really something small. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
just for a bit of acknowledgement, it's not that big of an ask at all. I used to more like one thing, good memory I used to love with Bruno was I used to come in from like nights out at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. or whatever. Obviously, I had a few drinks on me. Like I'd go in and I'd make myself like a crisp sandwich or something just before I head to bed because I'd be in work the next day. And he used to like get up and like come in and like just sit with me while I'm eating, watching YouTube on my phone, piss drunk at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And like I don't know, like it was just like a nice thing where like he just look at me like he's just this guy's just chilling, eating his food.
Mm.
I'm just here with him, we're just vibing, that kind of way. So I love the if like situations where Bruno would just be around, or like when he used to be great for like stress reliever as well. Like I'd be studying for exams or I'd be doing my thesis in my last year of college, and he just used to just come in because I'd be doing it downstairs in the kitchen, and he'd just come in and sit beside me or stand beside me just for a few cuddles, or like I kind of like the way Bruno was very much a chill dog, where he liked in the sense of doing stuff like I like doing, where like watching TV or watching a game or something like that. So I enjoyed the part of him just chilling with us on the couch and having a cuddle and stuff like that. And like obviously you do like going playing and going on walks and stuff like that, but I do agree with you in the sense though that I feel like dogs play a bigger part for humans more than I think that we actually play for the dog. I think
Mm.
in a dog's world, they only need limited things, to be fed, to be walked, a little bit
Mm.
of attention, a bit of water. Where for us, I think on a mental scale, it's a big, big up.
Yeah, and I totally agree, and I think that's why like when people's dogs do die or when they have to get rid of them for any reason, like it's why it's so emotional, and it's likely the same for cats as well. I can't speak. I've never
Yeah, of
owned cats,
course.
like but also from seeing family experience, like getting rid of snakes, getting rid of lizards, getting rid of rabbits doesn't tend to be half as emotional as when you get rid of a dog or your dog dies or any of these other animals die. Like dogs always like it's always like it really is like a member of your family has died. Like I remember when my auntie had a cocker and a Springer Spaniel, and they were just both the most gorgeous dogs. And like I'd see one of them was a rescue. He was do you remember Charlie? He was the Springer.
Charlie, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was a great, and he was a rescue, and he was such a great dog. And then there was Bailey, who was the Cocker Spaniel, and she was like I remember the day Sinead brought her home as a pup, and
Hmm.
when Sinead called me to say each of them had died, like they died like a month apart, like so we got a call like twice within a month to say Charlie's dead, Bailey's dead, and like I cried, like I fully cried for the dogs being dead, like I wasn't
Hmm.
even it's not I wasn't even in their house, like one call came while I was in work. I had to go into the bathroom for 20 minutes and cry because the dog because her dog had died, and then another one came like when I was at home in the evening, and again like I was just lying on my bed and I just started crying because one of the dogs died, like and they weren't even my dogs, they were my auntie's dogs, like but it is such a like you get form such an emotional connection because they can carry such an emotional weight, like you can lean on them in that
Hmm.
way, like you said, like when you're stressed for exams or when shit's going on in life and you just need to relieve a bit of stress by by petting them, by cuddling with them, by giving them a kiss, or by bringing them out for a walk and stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I can give you kind of one example that at the time, my mom was living with me and Barry at the time in the house, and my mom had been going through a couple of rough years. And there was one morning she was really upset, and I was awake in the morning because I was going for my shift, so I had to, clear the windscreen in the car. But I also, was trying to comfort my mom or whatever. And Bruno was in the sitting room and kind of sensed like there was something wrong, and this is where it really big on the thing that I feel like dogs have a lot of human traits that it's kind of scary sometimes as well. Like their mannerisms are so human like. Um, and he like came in between my mom's legs. She was sitting down, and he put his head just like in between her legs, kind of like, and then put his head on her lap to say, kind of like to suggest, like, oh, it's okay, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be feeling down. And I was at the door, and I had such a clear view of it, and something like I'll never forget about Bruno. And I was just thinking, like, the maturity that that dog had to sense that there was something wrong, to get up from where he was sitting, come into the room, see the situation and then comfort another human like without asking for anything. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I think in this sense is like, you reward a dog with a treat. It's the idea of that, they're being rewarded for doing something good. Like he didn't even ask or beg for any a treat after, or he wasn't like, going over to his pot for
Mm,
food or anything. Like he just did that off his own back. And that was a big like awakening for me to understand like that dogs have a bigger meaning, especially in families like growing up and seeing situations like that. And like I already know like myself, like I'll be when Bruno does pass away, because as all things people do move on and stuff like that. It'll definitely be a hard day for me. Like I try not to think about it, but it does be on my mind because I'm living away from him so much. And that the
mm,
times now when I do see him, it's very, you know, important that I'm like spending quality time with the dog.
mm.
Um, so it'd be interesting to see how I, process stuff like that, like losing animals and, because like you said there, you've had a bit of experience with Charlie and the other anti dog as well. But like I said to you there, like I think the importance of dogs in like a wider picture is just like the connection and the memories that you make over the years. Because like you're there, like you're obviously getting upset over them dogs because you were like you were saying, you remember when the dog was a puppy, you remember how excited everyone was in the house when the dog came, all the walks, the laughs, because dogs are hilarious as well.
Mm.
So yeah, that's kind of what I have to say on the topic. And like for our listeners, if you have anything to say on the topic, I can post something up on the Instagram
If
page, or
anybody
you
just wants
can,
to send us photo of your dogs as well,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
so down
we're
for that.
happy.
Like we would
Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah,
much
yeah,
enjoy. Like
yeah.
I even think like it's such like a funny like communal thing when you are like out and like you're getting like maybe you're getting to know people for the first time. Like you're just first introduced to someone and you're like, do you have a dog? Let me see. Like I want to see a photo of that dog right fucking now. Is it the ugliest thing
Yeah,
ever? Fantastic.
yeah.
Or is it cute as a button? Brilliant. Like I want to take a look. Like like it needs to land on one side of the scale. Like it needs to be the cutest thing ever. Or it needs to be ugly as fuck.
And they also
But
fall into that topic category then of like dog people, like where you can tell
mm,
that someone has a dog or they've got like traits of someone that's owned a dog or been in a family with a dog.
yeah,
And I only noticed it once I had a dog myself. Like you can see people, they get so excited when you start talking about your dog or let's see a photo of your dog.
yeah.
Um,
I actually have a thing with one of the girls in work where like it just like started off as like so as most of you guys who listen know, me and Simone moved in together last year, got our house, and we took Simone's dog. So we've had Xena, and Xena is effectively my dog now as well. Now Simone's obviously her master and stuff like but I love Xena to bits, like
mhm.
especially because I work from home with her so much as well. Like it's great. Like right after this, I'm gonna go in and I'll play with her for 5 minutes and fuck off and do something else and then do it again with her at some point. But um, what's sorry, I actually think. Oh yeah, what I was saying about what I do when the girls work. Like so like when you get a new dog, like everyone like you want to take photos. So I was just taking a lot of photos of Xena because like I had only chilled with her in Simone's parents' house.
Yeah, yeah.
So as that, and like I just constantly was taking new photos of Simone of Xena. Sorry, not Simone. And like I just like was constantly looking to show them off. So like I just kept showing one of the girls in work because she also loves dogs, and like it's now become a thing where every week I just look at her and go, "Do you want her installment for the week?" And she goes, "Yes." And I'm like, I'll have taken a few photos of Xena for myself, but like also with Sophie will enjoy that. And then there we go. But like they also like teach people, and like I think it's like they're such great they're so good for teenagers as well, like going into like really difficult times, like as everybody knows, like from the ages like 10 to 20 is not like an easy time for anyone at any time, like especially in the
A lot
modern
of
world. I think
growing.
it's a lot of growing, and I think like they're great for not only like emotional support but also like teaching responsibilities. Like I know for me, when we got our dog, when I like we got Alfie, who was a boxer at like 15, and you met Alfie, and Nicola knows Alfie very well as well, and like like having that responsibility of like this dog's entire happiness relies on you, being there for it, feeding it, and also taking it out on a walk, and like you forcing you if you force yourself to be in a position where you have to walk the dog, it's not only good for the dog, it's good for you.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
I used
it's
to always
actually
say like the going like sorry, just after you finish and work after a long day, you could be working 8, 9 hours. Even just getting out for that half an hour, 45 minute, 1 hour walk with the dog, it's great for like not even your own mental health as well as the dogs. You get to
yeah,
means you get to spend quality time with them, but then also it's like little things that like you probably would have never even left the house. Some people, they go straight from work and they come home and they're sitting down. They don't even get to get outside. So I used to love that
Yeah,
sense of it.
I think especially like as we're coming into like winter now, like that's like it was something I hated that like once we got back into school and like it came to this time of year, like when this episode comes out, it's the week that or not, the clocks will have just changed to so that it'll be dark at like 4 or 5 o'clock, and like it used to be a thing where like when we finished school at 3:30, I used to have to dart home. Like it was like a 25 minute walk for me to get home from school, and I would have to get in and literally like be so quick to get the dog out before it got too dark. Because the local park that we were in didn't have any lights. Because why
Yeah.
would it?
Yeah.
So we would so like I would go out and bring him out, but like that forced me to get up and get out. And after a long day, whereas like I know for a fact I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have to,
Exactly.
and it probably it probably benefited me more than I'll ever know.
Yeah, definitely. And the responsibility thing for you, I'd say, when at a young age, like it teaches you a lot um of things about looking after someone else besides yourself. Because especially when you're at a young age, you kind of see things a little bit from a selfish perspective, but not intentionally. It's just because you're growing
Mm,
and you're getting older. So I think it was great then, like you were saying there, for a lot of people growing up with dogs. It teaches them a lot more about responsibility.
mm. And yeah, I'm just kind of cautious on time as well. So speaking of the time of year and the clocks changing and all that carry on, what we want to talk about this week for our current affairs section is Halloween, and kind of keeping it going from the dog, like for the dogs naturally kind of moving into this section is like something I've been noticing over the last like kind of 2 weeks is the amount of like fireworks and like the bonfires and all
Mm.
that carry on. And like, I understand, I get it, like it's a great sight, but like 3 weeks in a row, lads, like every night non-stop. And like you know what it is, I don't actually mind the banging and the noise, and like they look nice and stuff in the sky, but I genuinely just be thinking of the poor dogs,
Yeah,
you
it
know.
is a hard day for the dog owners and the dogs, Halloween, and especially that time leading up to, like you were saying there. I wish it was more people are a bit more respectful about the situation, like just doing it on the one day a year. I'd understand, but it's
Mhm.
like it goes on for nearly sometimes 2 weeks. Like even a week after Halloween is done, people are still throwing bangers and letting off fireworks and stuff. And like I used to never really think about it, to be honest, growing up too much. I was never really the biggest fan of Halloween anyway, but like if Halloween came around, you'd go to a Halloween party, or you'd go to the pub, or you'd go trick or treating with your friends or whatever. It wasn't like the
I
biggest
love in
thought
that
on
order.
my
You
head.
go to the pub with your friends, then you go trick or treating.
Yeah, we do it opposite here. You start doing trick or treating when you're
the
lot.
the actual like scare at the door is a bunch of drunk hooligans showing up to your front door and
uh,
asking for stuff.
have you any squirrels, bullets? Uh, but yeah, then it wasn't until I got Bruno that I kind of understood like the importance of how hard that day is for them. Like Bruno was never the biggest fan of the loud noise, especially the bangers, because they make such a loud, I know, ironic, a loud noise. So for him, like, he definitely struggled with the noise level to it. I mean, he did get a bit more accustomed to it as the years went on, the second, third year, because he kind of. I feel like they do become a bit more aware that it is happening a bit more often once, like you're saying there, that it's leading up to the event, Halloween event or
Mm.
whatever. So they do become more aware of that. I would say just people just be a bit cautious as well, because like there is young lads I see throwing bangers and stuff like near where people are walking and stuff like that. And like a lot of time people are like like I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm saying like just there is dog owners like trying to walk their dog just before the fireworks are going off. Give them a bit of space, lads. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's it. And I think like it's like it's one of those things like if you're gonna do it, like I have no problem with people like doing their fireworks and
Yeah, of
bonfires.
course.
I
Like,
get it. It's a cool sight, especially for kids. Like I don't think it's like it's a young fella or a young bro kind of thing. Like it's a nice thing for like I remember doing it as a kid.
yeah, Sam.
But like I also think just be a bit more mindful of people. Like if you're gonna do it, go into a park where there's not a lot of houses around. Look, I understand you're never gonna get like nobody around you, but like there's a park in our estate. Like it's just like I say a park. It's a little field. It's got a playground. It's got a goalpost. Like it's not huge around, but like there's loads of houses around it, and lads are doing it in there, and like you can hear every night 10 o'clock these fireworks are starting to go off, and the amount of dogs that are going ballistic, like and I used to live in a house when I lived with Eileen, we a little cavapoo, and he hated that sort of stuff. He just like if the bus went by, he'd start pounding and doing all that sort of stuff. So for him, like that whole 2 3 weeks was like a living hell. So bad, in fact, that my grandparents had to get TBC oil for him to calm him
Damn.
down. So the
Damn.
fella's baked it. So actually, it's probably his favorite time of year now, if we're being honest.
Bro,
But
getting waved on Halloween.
but still, like
Yeah,
it's
no, but I get
just
what you
something
mean.
to
Like
it's just be considerate, like
yeah, and like just kind of off. Like I mean, on the topic, really, is bonfire still as common? Because I was
I
surprised. Like
don't
there
think
has
they're as
not
common.
one
Sorry.
bonfire in Switzerland. Like I haven't been here. I was here last year for Halloween, and there was not one bonfire. A few fireworks. It's not a major tradition here. Like it's not as big as it would be in Ireland. But like, is it still to the extent where it's like every single field you see a bonfire, or is it gone down a lot over the years?
I think fireworks are yes, but bonfires I think are more for the day of and like the days after because I think bonfires take a lot more planning
Yeah,
because bonfires are a lot more effort because it's quite literally just a big massive fire in the middle of a
fire.
field and you need to
Yeah,
fuel that fire
yeah.
properly and you can't just keep giving it cardboard because the cardboard will it will burn but it just turns to ash and it just sits there like you need proper material to do bonfires and like they take time and effort to set up like and like whereas fireworks you literally just plant it in you light it up and it goes gone and there's your 20 quid well spent there's a big bang in the air so I have seen them around here, but like not this year yet. But like as we're recording this, Halloween still just over a week away. Like so I've no doubt that I will see them at some point. Like.
It's not like when we were kids and it was like, this is like the perfect time of year to get rid of shit that was up in the attic. Like an
Mm.
old cot or an old bed that Mary has stuffed away that she's fucking rubbing her hands together. Oh, there we go. Perfect time to throw it in the skip. I remember even when I was younger living at Darius and like people would genuinely knock on the door, like kids 12, 18, or like 12 to 18, like that kind of like age gap, and they'd be asking like oh, have you got any spare wood in the back or have you got anything to
Yeah, I
throw in the
remember kids
skip?
not. Okay, do you remember we used to have the decking out the back of my
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
place?
yeah,
So
yeah.
when we took the decking apart, like we had so much wood, like and like people kept knocking up and asking us like because like we put a decking down like when we first moved into the house and then like took it down like over the course of COVID like so from like COVID onwards like every time you'd have people every time there's a bonfire happening like kids be knocking onto the house and asking for you know
Yeah.
but yeah
I wonder what
it's
I wonder what people's perspective is of Halloween. Do they think it's dying now?
some people, but
Mm.
honestly, I think Halloween is going to like really take off in a good way, and like because like I see a lot of people like Simone loves Halloween. Like Simone is
Hmm.
huge into Halloween, and me and her both don't really care about Christmas, like but like Simone loves Halloween. She loves the kind of the dressing up and
The
it's the
spooky
spooky
side to it.
season and like
Yeah.
it's I get it like it's fun and like it's good like for kids as well like I think like keeping it as much as I'm not a huge fan of kids in general like um I think like keeping them in the kind of like mindset
Fun
of
side.
Halloween
Yeah. The creative
yeah,
side too.
but I think it stops it becoming like a hooliganism kind of holiday where like like
Mm.
Paddy's Day has kind of become that where like it's just a day where
Yeah.
people go out and get pissed and things get really really messy. I
Yeah.
think Halloween hasn't gotten that far because kids are still such a centralized part of it. Like the main thing of Halloween still is for kids to go dress up and knock on
And
your
go
house
trick or
and
treating.
get
Yeah.
trick or treat, and then there's Halloween parties and that sort of stuff. But the main emphasis, kind of like Christmas, is it's kind of all about the kids in that sense. And I think if it stays that way, but continues to grow in this kind of like nice spooky season kind of camaraderie kind of way, I think it could like become like I think it could just kind of keep growing in popularity and could become like quite a big holiday, you know.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Um, yeah. What's the weirdest thing you ever dressed up as for Halloween,
Weirdest thing I've ever dressed up as for Halloween.
or something you want to do for
Uh,
Halloween, maybe?
I haven't dressed up for Halloween in such a long time. I always wanted me and Nicola to do like a joint costume.
Hmm.
I feel like I know it's so obvious, but like we would look so good as like Aladdin and Jasmine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or like,
Yes.
or like Diego and Dexter. Like Dexter, sorry, Diego and Dora.
And Dora. That's a
Yeah,
bit incest.
Yeah, yeah. It's just Dexter in the full on white suit.
Tight
Yeah,
fit.
like I always wanted to do one because I feel like we fit into the category because we're dark. So you know what I mean?
It's not
On
racist
topic.
if he says it, guys. Okay, it's not
Exactly.
racist if he says
I
it.
see you counting. I see you counting. So yeah, I don't know. What about you? What's like one? I feel like next week we should maybe potentially dress up, but we'll see. I know
That
it
could
won't
be
come out
funny.
on
Well, no,
Halloween,
no, we should
but
have done that for this week because
yeah,
this week's this recording is the Halloween week episode. So
hey, fuck it.
next
We
year,
do
guys,
next year. We do what we
next
want
year,
though. We do what we
yeah,
want.
we do. We make the rules. I've to so like when I was younger, I dressed up as I dressed up as Jedward once.
Oh God. Oh God.
But
Have
I'd
you
say the
surely you have a photo of that?
not one that I'm willing to share. Anyway,
Okay. Okay.
I think probably the funniest thing I ever did was like dress up as a serial killer. Speaking of Dexter, but
Any specific one?
what I did was, I got loads of cereal boxes, got loads of fake blood and knives and serial killer, and that way, so like I loads like like the big packets of
Okay.
Weetabix and
Okay.
Rice Krispies. Like I
Okay.
literally like put myself top to bottom full of cereal boxes. It was held together by like fucking sellotape and masking tape, and then
That's
just
low-key
loads of fake
genius
blood.
though.
But it was quite funny. I don't have any photos of it. And one thing I want to do at some point, but I don't know because I think this would have been the good year to do it because I don't know if I will be able to do it next year because it's kind of very determined on my weight. Um, but what I've wanted to do for years is basically dress up as the blue Mr. Incredible. Mr. Incredible
Oh,
in his
yeah, yeah.
OG blue suit, right?
We
But
literally watched The Incredibles last night as well.
uh, I, I'm
Yes.
I'm itching to rewatch it. I've been watching some video essays on it, and I kind of want to rewatch it.
So good.
Oh,
So
great
good.
film, top four in
Great film.
Letterboxd. What a film!
Yeah, easily.
Um,
Easily.
so like what I wanted to do very specifically was Mr. Incredible in the blue suit, and when he gets scouted by Syndrome to go to the island to fight the robot for the first time, the suit's too small for him, and his
Yeah,
belly's
yeah.
sticking out.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That particular thing where like he does the big stretch, his
And it
belly's
comes
poking out, and he just goes,
up.
"Showtime."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I want to do like the next year, do the red suit where he's back and muscly,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see where you're going with this. Maybe you might just do it at Christmas. Fuck it.
Fuck it,
Have a
yeah,
little dress up
honestly,
party for Christmas this month.
yeah. Okay.
Will we move on to the dilemmas this week?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've been talking quite a bit, so I'll let you take the floor with the first of the anonymous dilemmas
Yes,
that he
so
sent in.
your anonymous distance dilemmas, guys. We have two new ones here for this week. So I'm gonna read the first one out now. So my ex that I broke up with 3 years ago is still stalking me and trying to contact me. He has an email generator, so no matter how many times I block him, he still manages to contact. What should I do? You want to go first on this one?
Tell his ma.
I actually know who this one's from. Like, I know the person that wrote this. The one thing that I always suggested to do is that she should probably go to the guards, considering it's
Yeah,
been 3 years.
yeah.
Um, but it is a bit scary to think that people do are and still are getting obsessive over relationships they've broken up with over 3 years ago, you know. I mean, like, I'm all for, you know, enjoying the experience you had with the person and don't not regretting it, and it takes time to get over a breakup, but 3 years is a bit much if you ask me, and I do think this person should severely get some help. But
Severely
Sean,
back the
anything
fuck
you
off.
yeah, come on, pipe down, bro, pipe down. Especially this, like the fact that he has an email generator, so no matter how many times I block him he still manages to contact. That's insane.
That
That's a bit
is,
insane.
but like that's like I know you're saying insane in a like kind of very like casual tone, but
Yeah.
that is criminally fucking insane. Like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I would say you need to ring the guards, and I kind of jokingly said tell his mother. But if you were in a relationship with this person and you know his mother, tell his parents.
Did
On
you know
like
what the sad thing is, man? I think his parents actually know already.
what
That's the sad
then
thing.
like shit like and I know this like is a lot easier said than done, but like make this a known thing, like because this is clearly causing this person a lot of stress. If they're sending it in to us, if they've blocked them and there's an email generator aspect involved, like this clearly is causing whomever is affected by this stress. And I don't blame you as well. This is a fucking horrible situation, right? And I would seriously consider going to the guards.
Yeah, I
Now
mean,
again,
the thing about that is like, I really hope that the guards really put a stop to this, because you know, the fact that the relationship ended 3 years ago, and I am putting a time period on this, is a bit insane to me, because 3 years is a long time.
yeah,
it's not something that you'd process over within a 12 months period, which is normally what you do when you're in the breakup. You go through the different phases of,
Mm.
how you felt about the relationship and where it went and blah, 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 blah. And then you move on, etc., whatever. But the fact is that he's still pursuing this person 3 years over, and every time that she's blocking the email, he's still providing a new
Yeah,
one.
I think the time aspect to it is a huge thing. Like I would
Yeah.
say if it was like a couple of months to a year, I'd be like, okay, look, come here.
A year is still
I
weird though.
we a year, it's weird, but like it's also like, come here, if you really loved somebody and you didn't, maybe it wasn't their choice. Like you can understand the like want to have that back and stuff. Now, but
Yeah, of
again, I'm not
course.
agreeing with like the person's methods at all. But I'm just saying like I get it, but 3 years is like, okay, this is like in 3 years you can be a totally different person. Like, we kind of touched on this before, but like, we're both very different people to who we were 3 years ago. Like, so
I hope this
I
guy does mature a little bit.
yeah, but honestly, my honest advice would be go to the guards. But if you don't feel the guards are doing enough about it, and again, both of these things are so much easier said than done.
Of
Um,
course.
but like, consider telling his parents, telling his family, telling his friends, whomever you feel comfortable telling in that space. Or you could do, now this would be a bit of a dick move, right? But I would also argue having an email generator contacting you when you clearly don't want to be contacted is also quite a dick move. So I wouldn't feel too bad about doing this. Out him online, put
For
something
real.
up, and be like, this person is harassing me, and I've tried to do this, I've tried to do that, and I'm just like, make other people know, because what that will inevitably do is people
Hmm.
will know about it, and he will likely back off. And I don't mean this in a way of like, hey, this person's doing this, please hurt this person. That's not what I'm saying. But
Mm,
I'm saying, like,
mm,
if this is causing so much stress to you, it's not fair that this is burdening your life so much. And
hmm.
if like, I think that should be a last option. I think first should be the guards. Actually, maybe first should be his parents or his family or his close friends. Then go to the guards. If you don't feel the guards are doing enough, then I would consider the online approach.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of agreeing with Sean there. I'm gonna read the second one here. So I keep overthinking every decision I make, and it's super draining. Do you have any advice how I chill more, or how I can chill more and trust myself more? Um, One thing I would say is for me on this topic is I'm not an overthinker, and I do actually quite believe in this theory of that if you are an overthinker, it has a lot to do with the personality traits that you have. Because myself and Nicola talked about this highly because she is an overthinker, and that for me, that's not a bad thing. I think a lot of people think that if you're an overthinker, it can be a bit of a bad trait. There is a lot of pros to being an overthinker, and I often talk to Sean about this where I believe Sean is a person who does everything 100%, which I think is a great trait to have, especially like in terms of the podcast, in terms of his music career, in terms of even his relationship. But then there is some con sides to being an overthinker as well. Just on this topic here, they say that they find it super draining. And do they have any advice on to chill more and trust myself more? Um, on the part of it being super draining, I believe that's the perfect time to relate to your family, your friends, even your partners, allowing yourself time there to speak with someone who you get a different opinion. And I always like when people come to me about certain situations. I don't know, like I think sometimes it's bad. I think some people have a bad perception of like people saying they find it good that people come to them to speak, but I actually often find that with speaking with someone who might be dealing with a difficult issue or something, you actually learn a lot as well. So I think my first advice would lean on someone that you feel close to, either that be a partner, a friend, or a family member. And then just like any advice how to chill myself more and trust myself more. I mean, you kind of you're kind of saying it there in the message. Trusting yourself more takes time. And it's something that I've definitely experienced more. I used to do a lot of self-doubt, a lot of self second guessing myself with different things. And I do think an age maturing, like we talked about a bit like last week, it does come with time. And I do believe that confidence in yourself still is a work in progress, especially for myself, but it's something that I'm learning to get a bit better with. In terms of like the chilling aspect, how they said here is find an interest that makes you feel chilled. So for me, for example, is I love watching movies and series. just disconnect and don't go on my phone, zone out. Or like for Sean, might be like the way he says he loves video essays, might be a way for him to chill out during his busy work schedule. So they're kind of my advices to that particular topic. And I'll let Sean now speak a bit more on the topic.
Yeah, like you kind of covered quite a lot about like seeking help, like from friends and family and stuff. So I don't want to like repeat what you said too much. Um, so like I honestly like I used to be quite an overthinker when I was a teenager, and this was a bit more like when I was in a bit of a bad situation. So like from experience, I would maybe like advise looking at your environment and kind of I kind of, for me, I've always associated overthinking with like a sense of anxiety as well. And like, I think it would be wise to kind of try and find the root of any sort of anxiousness that the person may have, and this can be something got to do with work, it could be something to do with family, it could be something to do with their friendships or relationships and that sort of stuff. Like, so I would try and find the root of those anxieties. And I think like something that really helped my perception of like life and overthinking things of as well as like just think every time you're making a decision, like whether it's something big or something small, take two things into consideration. One, what is the worst case scenario? Like, what is, if you do option A or option B, in both those situations, what is the worst case scenario? And I know people may think, oh, this is going to lead to overthinking, but I think if you try and bypass you know, like the rabbit hole that, of going down there, I think if you just go straight to the end and go, okay, but nobody's going to die. Someone may be uncomfortable. So little things like that. And, when you consider those things, I think stopping that kind of descending kind of slides down can be really really helpful, and just kind of getting straight to the point of like this is the worst thing that could happen. Is that terrible, or is that right for me? And sometimes the worst thing that can happen is bad for other people, but then we've talked quite a lot before about you need to be able to put yourself first and being able to be
Yeah.
responsible for your mindset. Like and like we talked a little bit about this last week with like cutting certain family members off and stuff, like and that
Hmm.
could be part of this. Again, I don't know, this is all totally anonymous, so
Yeah.
I think like jumping straight to what's the worst thing that could happen, and are you comfortable with that sort of thing? And then secondly as well, was you know I kind of after kind of forgetting my point. um oh yeah, but it's also like putting like overthinking these things. It's like what is it going to harm anybody is the big thing, I would say. Like is this, it could be a little decision, and like a lot of it could be kind of like psychological, like of like, oh, if I do this person's going to think that, and if that person thinks that, then they're going to tell this people, and then this is going to, like, it turns into a big kind of spiral, you
Loophole,
know
yeah.
um which for me, I used to do that, and I just who honestly, the only person that matters is yourself. Try and put your own mindset, try and put your own goals and stuff ahead. Yeah, and I genuinely, and this is something I really live my life by, is if it does not harm anybody, then go ahead and do it. Like, and that can be little things like tomorrow, for example, I'm going to a concert by myself in Wexford tomorrow. I'm staying in Wexford overnight, going to spend the day in Wexford, go to another concert. A lot of people would really overthink that and go, oh my god, like, the things that could happen, like, I'm going to drive down, like, oh my god, I could get into an accident. And come here, look, these thoughts naturally will crop up, and I don't think overthinking is like naturally a bad
Yeah.
thing, but like when
I'm
it
a
is
big single
consuming
person
you,
though. Yeah. Yeah.
I know I kind of talked in ribbons there, but honestly, like I said, I think if you just jump straight to the worst case scenario, consider those options instead of going down the rabbit hole, and then try
Hmm.
and find the source of your anxieties, is kind of where I
Yeah.
feel like you'll find the root of a lot of
Mm.
these things.
I agree
But
with you
yeah,
as
we
well,
are
especially.
kind of running
Yeah.
out of time here, guys. So
Mm.
I'm going to wrap up on this week's episode. I'm just going to hand over to Imran. Is there anything you want to say before we head off,
No,
Imran?
just on the thing, like I agree with Sean in the sense that it's so easy to jump straight to the darkest side of where your thoughts can go in terms of overthinking. You always jump automatically straight to the worst scenario of where the situation could go. And I think it's just important for just to take a step back, take a second, understand the situation, understand where you are, and then think about it in more of a reality terms. Like Sean was saying there, he's going to Wexford tomorrow. He's already thought all the things that have naturally came into his head, but he's understood the situation. He's not harming anyone. He's going down to Wexford to enjoy himself. And that's how a lot of other people should think. And it is easier said than done. And a lot of these traits do come with things. The one thing, last thing I would say, that's something that I used to use growing up because I suffered a lot with social anxiety in big places and stuff like that, is just because it came to my mind, is anxiety bands. I don't know if you've ever heard about them, Sean. They're essentially just a band that you wear on your arm or your wrist, and you can, it's kind of like a coping mechanism. You can just play with it or you flick it. A lot of people, I used to pull my ears a lot in public, or people used to bite their nails or play with their hands. So if if you ever want an advice from someone who used some kind of form of anxiety with overthinking as well, because obviously I was overthinking in these social situations, I would advise anxiety bands. So that's all I have to say. But yeah,
Cool.
thank you for your distance dilemmas.
Yeah, and guys, we're going to wrap up the episode here. But if
Yeah,
you would like to also submit a dilemma to us, these are all totally anonymous. I have no idea who
no,
submitted
me
these.
neither.
Now, Imran said he had a clue of which one of them were just because it seems like
Because
you're
he
a close
knows
friend.
my friend. Yeah,
But
yeah.
we basically, when we get them, we put them into a
Anonymous list.
um, anonymous list and we shuffle them around and we reword them a little
Yeah,
bit as well. So
yeah.
it's totally anonymous. Like I said, I have no idea who any of these are from. If you would
No,
like to submit a dilemma, you can either DM us on Instagram or you can also email us the distance dilemma pod at gmail.com. But we are going to wrap it up for this week. So, yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning into episode number 36 of The Distance Dilemma. My name is Sean, and I am in Dublin, Ireland. This has been Imran. He was in Thun, Switzerland. This is our long distance friendship podcast, and we will see you next week at 6 a.m. Irish time and 7 a.m. Central European time on Monday. Thank you very much, guys, and we will chat to you again next week.
thank you.